Donald Trump, in what can only be described as an increasingly uphill battle for him and his path to victory in the election, has been seemingly defeated once again. Now, it is slowly coming to the point where I'm beginning, in all sincerity, I think I'm beginning to doubt the integrity of our election system. I'm beginning to doubt the integrity of the election process and what ensues afterward. And I don't know if it's necessarily the system itself or merely the people and the chess pieces, if you will, that are in play here. I've been tracking this. Now, mind you, I'm not going to be your average Trump fan here and say, "Oh, the Democrats stole the election. The Democrats are intentionally trying to subvert our democracy." I'm not going to say anything like that. Um, what I can say is that there is clear and definitive evidence of voter fraud, election fraud, and impropriety at a state and federal scale, and nobody seems to be interested in investigating it, except for Trump. He's the only person who's invested, which he has to by default because he's the one who loses if it isn't investigated. It's deeply concerning to me that there are both primarily Democrats, but there are some Republicans that are also likewise just trying to sweep this all under the rug. Oh, no voter fraud here. Let's move along. Just accept Biden as your president elect. Just get on your knees and accept it. Bend the knee to our will. And they keep bashing you over the head repeatedly, over and over again in the media until you get that right. Now, federal appeals court dismisses Trump campaign lawsuit over Pennsylvania voting procedures. Now, I have to say, I did watch a good portion of the hearing the other night, and it is what I heard in that hearing. I truly believe that there is no credible human being, logical human being in the world that after hearing that information would have absolutely no questions. I mean, it's just absolutely unfathomable to me that people are just absolutely blatantly ignoring after all the information that has come forth, after all the evidence that has come forward. Now, I'm not saying definitively there has been election fraud. I'm not saying there has been widespread voter fraud and that the Democrats stole the election. We don't know. We don't have all the answers. Maybe, but also maybe not. So it would be foolish to say that this early on. But the fact that there is clear evidence of this so far, I mean, it's just mind boggling to me. A federal appeals court dismissed a lawsuit by the Trump campaign over Pennsylvania's voting procedures on Friday, paving the way for the issue to escalate all the way up to the Supreme Court. Despite Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, arguing to a lower court that widespread voter fraud occurred in a state where President-elect Joe Biden won by over 80,000 votes, the Third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said the campaign's claims have no merit. It's absolutely, I don't understand. Are they all getting paid off? I don't know. The Trump campaign has the option of asking the U.S. Supreme Court for emergency injunctive relief, which would go to Justice Samuel Alito, who would then likely ask his 8 colleagues to weigh in. The activist judicial machinery in Pennsylvania continues to cover up the allegations of massive fraud. We are very thankful to have the opportunity to present proof and the facts to the PA state legislature. On to SCOTUS, Jenna Ellis, Trump's attorney and campaign advisor, said in a statement on Twitter after the court ruling. Here's the tweet. Friday's ruling upheld U.S. District Judge Matthew Braun's take on the Trump campaign's error-filled complaint, which Braun said, like Frankenstein's monster, has been haphazardly stitched together. Now, to be fair, this is not the first article I have read that presents Trump's case as being very poorly put together, Perhaps this is a fault of Rudy Giuliani. Perhaps this is the fault of Sidney Powell or other lawyers. Perhaps it is the fault of Trump himself. What needs to happen, though, is if this is the case, Trump, get your shit together and appoint somebody who can make an organized case out of this. Now, I'm not going to impugn the honor of Rudy Giuliani himself or Sidney Powell. I don't know what it's like to be a lawyer, and I won't pretend to, but I do know that this is not the first time this criticism has been made from credible sources. The 3 judges on the panel were all appointed by Republican presidents. Free, fair elections are the lifeblood of our democracy. Charges of unfairness are serious, but calling an election unfair does not make it so. Charges require specific allegations and then proof. We have neither here. Judge Stefanos Bibas, a former law school professor, wrote in his ruling, I don't know much, but I do know that votes appearing out of thin air, maybe not, the smoking gun, but that is definitive evidence that some kind of impropriety occurred, which means to me this needs to be investigated. I don't understand these people who just say, oh, there's not enough evidence, what do you mean there's not enough evidence? It's all right there. We just need somebody to investigate it. That's it. We just need an audit. It's not like we're asking you to move the moon and the earth for us. The decision is the latest blow to Trump's efforts to prove the election outcome in several battleground states where he lost were rigged. Giuliani held a public hearing alongside Trump on Wednesday and alleged that Republicans were denied the opportunity to observe the canvassing process, with Trump claiming they have hundreds and hundreds of affidavits of witnesses' personal stories to back their argument up. Reportedly, this is true, and this is also, it is not just Trump that has claimed this, but also Giuliani and Powell as well. However, the so-called proof has not been presented during numerous court hearings, with judges repeatedly ruling against the Trump campaign. In addition to Pennsylvania, Giuliani claims that similar schemes also took place in Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, and Georgia. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Now, I do want to add something here, and it's something that is largely debatable and purely conjecture. However, I have noticed that some people are making a case for this might be exactly what Trump wants. He wants these things, he wants all of these cases to go to SCOTUS. He wants them to go to the Supreme Court. Why? Why does he want them to go to the Supreme Court? Well, for one, there's a majority. For two, he knows that he doesn't actually need to win the election through the courts. He just needs to make it appear as if there has been impropriety to the level of which it might have affected the outcome of the election. That's all he needs to do. Additionally, I'm not even entirely sure that that's his entire game plan. It has been suggested now that it could be possible that he's merely trying to tie up the courts in litigation until the December 14th deadline, in which state electoral delegates will gather and cast their final votes. Now, as you know, there are 26 Republican states with Republican-controlled majority legislatures right now, and I believe it is 22 or 23 with Democrat-controlled, and I think it's 23 with Democrat-controlled legislatures, and I believe one that is in question, which happens to be Pennsylvania. So that might be his entire goal this entire time, is to merely tie this up into litigation, force the December 14th deadline, have the electoral delegates cast their votes, and then he wins through a completely legitimate and constitutional manner. Now, whether it is a legitimate constitutional manner in which to win, and whether it is a morally correct way to win, remains to be seen. There's definitely an argument for morality, as much as I would certainly prefer the outcome of Trump winning. I'm not entirely sure that I would be okay with him winning in that manner. I mean, Ultimately, I believe that the will of the people have to be heard. Now, I understand the argument is that this might not be the will of the people if it's proven that there's widespread voter fraud or impropriety occurring in our electoral process. Um, but we will see. I think it's a little bit early to try and think this far ahead. I think it's a little bit early to try and determine what exactly is going to happen. I mean, the year is 2020, folks. Literally anything could happen at this point, and I will be waiting with bated breath to see how it all pans out. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please do consider liking and subscribing. It does really, really help the channel out. It really helps the algorithm pick up my videos and distribute the content to people who are interested in it. It's completely free, and I would appreciate it very much. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, gotta get that money.
Gigi, I've decided not to leave this town. Maybe I can stay and find some other nice people who will like me and accept me for who I am.
Trusting your spirit, yes, that's exactly what I'm